This is going to be the most boring tape we've ever made, I announced, stepping out onto the deck of the ship that my friend had borrowed. The sway of the ship beneath me still made my stomach twist up a little bit. I wasn't a water dog, the way that Marianne was. In fact, I only ever came out to the lake for things like this. When she drugged me out here, practically twisting my arm the whole way. Marianne smiled at me, her nose wrinkling up a little bit when she did. "Don't say that." "Why? I'm being honest," I told her. The sun beat down on the back of my neck, and I glanced up at the blue sky above us, taking in the stretch of white clouds and the bright sunlight bursts. "At least it's not gonna rain on us." "Shit, do you think I just jinxed it?" No answer. When I looked over my shoulder, Marianne was staring at me, frowning. I asked her, "Come on, what's that look for?" "I think it's going to be fun. We're going to get the monster on video. That's going to be killer, right?" Marianne insisted. The frown vanished, and that sun-bright smile came back to life. "Come on, Alice. You can't go into this thinking that we aren't going to find it, or else your bad vibes will spoil the hunt." "The monster in the lake is going to sense that I don't believe in him and not show up?" I asked dryly. "You know, somehow, I don't think that's how he works." "Her," corrected Marianne. "It's a her, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Thanks for asking." I insisted. "So what? The lake monster is a massive mood ring? Does he change color when he senses that someone's in a bad mood?" "I'm being serious," insists Marianne. "I really think that we're going to find the monster today. If you stop broadcasting how much you don't believe in her. So stop going into this like a negative Nancy and try to put some faith in me." I had plenty of faith in Marianne. Normally. I just didn't think that we were going to catch some urban legend on film today, so long as we believed in her hard enough. Still, I could tell that continuing to protest was not going to get me anywhere. I threw my hands up. "Fine. We're totally gonna go out there and catch the mythical monster on the lake with your camera, and then we're going to get totally famous. Better?" "Better." Marianne flashed me a smile and then vanished to get the boat running. It was just a little thing, run off of a motor with a cabin beneath the deck and a little hull on top for the wheelhouse. The lake was a stretch of dark blue surrounded by long, flowing green. The stalks of grass caught in the wind, twisting over the plains around the border of the lake. There was a small shack near the dock, but it quickly grew small as we moved to the center of the lake. It was late enough in the day that the fog had already been burned off the surface of the water. Marianne pulled a cooler up from the bottom cabin. It thumped as she drug it up the stairs, and then made a skidding sound as she dragged it over the deck. It must have been too heavy for her to actually lift it up. I asked, "What's that?" "Bait," said Marianne. "I told you that I thought this through. I know exactly how we're going to catch the monster on film. We just have to lure her close enough to the surface of the water that she's visible." Curious, I stepped closer to the cooler. "And what kind of bait do you think is going to lure in the monster of the lake?" Marianne said, "This kind." She popped the cooler open. It was filled up with raw fish. She must have bought it at the market and opened the packages, dumping just the bloody meat and ice into the bin. I made a face. "How much money did you drop on that?" Marianne rolled her eyes. "If we find the monster today, it won't matter. Money will never matter again. You and I are going to end up as millionaires." I watched as she took the cooler and dumped the raw meat over the railing and into the water. It made a noisy splash. Each chunk spilled fresh blood out into the water surrounding it, staining it a darker shade of pink. "That's not going to do anything," Marianne said. "You don't know that." "I kinda do," I told her. "I mean, Marianne, that's not going to do anything. You don't really think it's going to be that simple, do you? If some dead fish was all it took, everyone would have this monster on film." And I was right. It was a long, boring trip. We spent all day out there for literally nothing. Marianne refused to even consider turning the boat around until after twilight cloaked the land, though, and the water turned almost black beneath us. I put my foot down when the first glint of silver starlight was visible. "That's it. We're going home," Marianne asked. "Come on, Alice. Just a little longer. She's going to show up. I know she will." "She's not going to show up," I said, "because she doesn't exist." A stormy look crossed Marianne's face. "I knew it. That's why we haven't seen her. You could have at least tried to pretend that you have some faith in this. She's never going to show herself to a couple of non-believers." "You threw store-bought salmon into the lake." I ran over to where she had dumped the fish over the railing, my hands curling around the sun-hot metal. "It's literally all still there." I cut myself off. The fish was gone. "That doesn't prove anything," I said, but Marianne was already grabbing her camera. She flipped it on and cursed. "It's dead!" Marianne vanished under the deck to get another battery. I stood there at the railing and stared down into the lake, my mouth open as a shape twisted beneath the surface of the water. There was a flash of something as it pressed up against the top, breaking through the surface tension. The black, slimy body was only visible for a moment before vanishing again. The whole ship rocked and bobbed as the monster went beneath it. I nearly fell over as I ran to the other side of the deck, slamming my hands into the metal there too. My fingers curled around it. The surface of the water rippled as a massive shape shot out from under the ship and towards the other side of the lake. It caused a wake that no lake-bound animal should ever be large enough to cause, and its body briefly surfaced again. A flash of solid flesh that had to be the same size as a whale, but much darker and rougher in color and texture. The body curled upwards through the surface of the water, only breaching it for a few seconds. 30 of them at most, not even a solid minute. Then it was under the water again, twisting, curling through the liquid. The creature vanished from sight only seconds before Marianne came back onto the deck with her camera. She ran over to the rails where my fingers were still curled around the metal in a white-knuckled grip. "Where is it?" Marianne demanded, lifting up the camera. The little red light blinked, showing that it was recording. The wake was starting to still, the creature having already gone back down beneath the water, deep enough that it wouldn't disturb the top again. "Where did it go?" "Beneath," I told her, my voice a little on the hush side. "It went beneath us." "You saw it?" Marianne turned to me. "What did she look like?" There was a frantic need in her voice. I couldn't bring my gaze away from the surface of the lake. The water had gone completely still again, the monster gone from sight. Marianne grabbed me by one shoulder, giving me a hard shake and forcing me to turn and look at her. She demanded, "What did she look like?" "Huge," I said, a sort of numbness taking over me. She was huge. The monster in the lake was real. We might not have had proof on camera like Marianne wanted, but that didn't change the fact that I had seen her. She was real. Real. I knew it. And maybe the rest of the world would know it one day, too.
Subscribe today, or beware.